Great to see you all. So happy to be with you. Adi and I go way back, so I'm so glad he asked me to come on tonight and share some Kundalini mantra magic with you. I am one of his longest old time friends and also one of his nerdiest friends. I'm a super nerd geek person who just has drilled down on all kinds of stuff with the human body and how Kundalini yoga works, especially with your anatomy. How do you feel so good with Kundalini yoga? How is it that the mantras actually turn on the inner ojas, the inner elixir of your wisdom inside of you? How does that actually happen? That's what we're going to look at today. And I got to bail on my kids' soccer practice so I could be with y'all. So happy to be here. I'm here in occupied Tewa land in northern New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico, with my family. That's them behind me on the wall. They're always with me. And I will share with you tonight sound and mantra, the anatomical structures in the body that give you all that energy when you do Kundalini yoga, how it works. So we'll do like a short little putting on our thinking caps, drilling down on some facts together. We'll actually even look at research, okay? So you and feel really grounded in your practice, exactly how it works in health recovery. After about 15 to 20 minutes of info gathering, we'll talk about it, see what shares came to you all. I see some familiar people here. It's great to be with you guys tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And once we're done with this little talking info nerd time, we'll go into some practice. We'll do a beautiful set and feel good and chant together. How does that sound? Are we up for it? Uh-oh, I have to be able to share my screen.
Okay, okay.
I think if you, yeah, make me the co-host.
Mm, one
And
second.
Jaden, so good to see you, Jaden Black Elk, my man. So glad to see you. Please give your love to my mom, to your mom. Yes. My boy is at soccer practice, otherwise I'd bring him in. This is my gorgeous son. Jaden's mom is our family friend, Charlotte Black Elk, and she helped us adopt him 10 years ago. He's a little bigger now. This picture is from the first grade. But
Yeah, I remember babysitting him when I was like 10.
yes, exactly. Wait, who was that? Who said they babysat my boy? Can't see ya.
Jaden.
Jaden, yes. Awesome. All right, here we go. I'm going to share the anatomy of sacred sound. And all traditions carry sound as a medicine within them, right? We know that all traditions have singing, vocalizing together, and flowing sacred sound. All the seed sounds, all the mantras of Kundalini Yoga are from an indigenous practice of sacred sound. So we'll look at that together tonight, how exactly it flows through your body. And you know, if you're working with DJ Red, you know that your body is designed to be a musical instrument, right? You have percussion through the heart center. You have your vocalizing through the most incredible stringed instrument of your vocal cords. And what I find to be so trippy is you've got all this space in your head. You've got space between the top of your mouth and your pituitary gland and your brain. You've got extra space there that's a protection. Just like a bicycle helmet has padding in it, the space in your skull protects your brain and acts as a perfect echo chamber for your voice. So the flow of sound through that echo chamber sounds so good to you. It's a unique sound, and nobody else can hear it like you can. Your voice is your medicine, right? You hear yourself recorded, you're like, what? I sound so wispy, or it just sounds strange, right? That's because you've got this incredible design of your human body that protects you and keeps you healthy and also gives you that medicine of the uniqueness of your own voice. So I relate to my body that every single pore on my body is an ear. So every little hair that's growing out of my body, every little hole is vibrating sound, and it's connected to the spiral energy of the cosmos. So it's through that quickening of the sound, the ears, listening to yourself, that you have that inner ability to self heal. It comes through the fact that you're a sound frequency machine. So, of course, I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, so I have to include that your face and your whole body is basically a portal for transformation. The acupuncture points, the little dips and crannies all over your body, are designed to help you shift in consciousness with every breath. So every little point that you see on her face here, you have that same map on your body that flows into the universe and connects with all the nadis and meridians, or flow of sound, flow of current, flow of energy that's in the universe. So just know you've got that map all over your whole body, and there are a lot of points on your face. So your face especially is like a portal for change. Every time you talk to people, every time you create something or share something, you're allowing transformation to happen on many levels for yourself and others through that portal of expression, your face, your hands, and your body. And in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the 84 nadis, or meridians, inside the mouth. A meridian, again, is like a flow or a current of energy that gives energy to your body. And you have these black lines on this picture represent your teeth, and behind each tooth on the top of your mouth are little meridian spots like piano keys. And when you sing or chant, you're touching and playing that piano in the roof of your mouth. And at the very top of your mouth, this middle section of this diagram shows like the highest level of the keys. You know, when you hear a soprano, a very high voice, and it opens up the heavens, right? That's what these high notes up here in the very top of your mouth can do for you. Because when your tongue can touch those, when you're chanting sacred sound, it opens up expression into the center or the seat of your brain, which is right above that inside your head. So you're giving a little shout out to the pituitary gland, the master gland of the body, every time you chant through these mouth meridians. Okay, that's why we're like, be careful with what you say. Use the power of your word. Chant to keep yourself flowing like this beautiful Steinway piano that is your body. Your body is this incredible instrument for expression. So we look back to old studies from back in the day. This was the first way that they studied sound and mantra, and they put sand on a tectonic plate and vibrate across that plate. And they found that they could create order out of chaos with sound. So they could use sound to create movement of the sand into an orderly sacred geometry form. And this is from way back in the day, in the late 1800s, when they were first starting to study all the sound currents that were coming over from India. And they studied the Siddhi Yantra Om sound current, played it across a tonoscope, and then they got this sacred geometry to emerge across the tonoscope. Now, this could be super woo. I'm not sure if this is really a verifiable study, but I love thinking about it because I know my name is Japa. I love repetition of sound, of mantra, of music. And through that repetition, I create just a little bit of order in my life, right? Is that too much to ask for? We're always kind of pulling together our lives, and mantra brings in self regulation. So, how many people, when you were growing up, was there an adult that said, I'd like to help you self regulate? I'd like to help you learn more about self regulation. Raise your hand if there was an adult that was doing that. Not that often, right? Like moms usually give you a container, you've got food, you've got a rhythm, you have some regulation in your life. But rarely do we actually learn about self regulation in our childhoods. So as adults, we often get into meditation as a way to develop the ability to self-regulate. And there's actually a structure in your brain called the default mode network. And I'll give you a copy of this PowerPoint afterwards if you like, so you can look this up. This study shows that when you activate that default mode network, you're able to stay on track. You're able to think about what makes you happy in life, what you're trying to accomplish in your life. So meditation can be through actual meditation. It can be through learning a musical instrument, learning to ride a horse. All those kinds of activities develop the default mode network, concentrating on a specific meditative task. So they do find that musicians, meditators, people that concentrate on something like how to ride a horse, for example, develop that ability to stop their wandering mind and start to feel like they have more ability to talk themselves back from a crisis, right? So my loyalty lies with public health. I want as many people as possible to know about meditation so that people stop having Karen attacks when they're at a restaurant and they're upset with their waiter, right? We just want to help this whole world come back from the cliff and start to feel better, and people to start talking themselves into a locus of control for self-regulation. Okay, so let's think about just one more thing, that we have an interconnected knot in our mind and brain around pain, sleep, and inflammation. Now, if you're really young, you feel okay, and I'll just talk for a few more minutes here. If you're young, you may not be noticing how much inflammation you have in your body and mind. But as you get older, you start realizing, like, I'm having more trouble sleeping. I've got aches and pains that won't go away. And we find that there are actually studies with mantras that unwind that knot of human suffering, that we can do specific mantra meditations and we can start to reduce the pain in our lives. So I'll just show you two more studies and that's it. And then we'll go on and do a little bit more fun stuff. But this bottom study was small, but basically it took children with a very painful cancer. And those kids were allowed to lie down and listen to classical music, or they could sit up and chant out loud the Rama Dasa meditation. Okay, so the kids that chanted the Rama Dasa meditation, which is a seed sound, which we know from our Kundalini Yoga practice, those kids had less pain medication. They were able to get through their experience with less medication. That's a very powerful public health outcome, right? The less medication, the less of a toll we place on the kidney and liver, and the more a person can flourish. Okay, so we want to try to limit medication use when we can. Then we found another study done with adults had the same result, that they had less knee pain and didn't have to take as many medications because they were chanting the Ramadasa meditation. So just something to consider. In Kundalini Yoga, we talk all the time about the pituitary gland. Have you heard your teacher say, okay, now focus on the third eye, stimulate the pituitary gland? We say that Kundalini Yoga helps the whole endocrine system, all of your glands, through its ability to stimulate the pituitary gland. And we think that the pituitary gland is in your brain right up above your mouth. And when you chant like hud, 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 or ma, you're sending a message right upstairs to the pituitary gland. When you were a tiny grain of rice inside of your mother's belly, the pituitary and the roof of your mouth were one. And as you grew, they separated and became two separate, distinct features. So every time you chant, you're speaking to that original soul self when you were a tiny baby and you first arrived here ready to do your job in planet Earth. So a little bit more of information. The pituitary, the pineal, and the hypothalamus are all in the center of your brain. They're in a place called the third ventricle. You may have heard of it before, especially if you practice other kinds of yoga. This place, the third ventricle, is known as the cave of Brahma. Brahma means knowledge, okay? And this is where we hear that expression, I'm getting a download, okay? When you meditate, information comes in to this third ventricle through this place of knowledge, and what we describe as a 1,000-petaled lotus opens up, that your mind is given a chance for rejuvenation. And that fluid that's in the third ventricle receives a special message, a hormonal message from the pituitary, the pineal gland, and the hypothalamus. There's a conference that happens there that tunes you up, and we'll get a chance to do it together in a few minutes. We'll do some yoga. But this tune up that happens then spreads through your whole body through this ojas or fluid that is inside the brain. So the cerebrospinal fluid in this third ventricle goes through your spine, travels through your whole body, and gives it this message of enlightenment. And that's how we start to feel better with our yoga practice. It's through that pineal pituitary gland, through your conscious formation of seed sounds through your mouth, your tongue, your lips, through that portal of transformation. Does that make sense? And if you know any yoga teachers from California, they will often say, I'm getting a download. And now you know they're talking about that third ventricle, okay? And hey, we're all evolving here, right? It's an evolution. Our brains are growing. We're speaking to each other across the miles now in ways we never were before. And this is a time when we're tuning ourselves to a different frequency, a new time in human consciousness when people are starting to communicate across the miles. Do you have that happen sometimes where you're like, I'm thinking of my friend and they called me? That happens all the time now, right? And the next generation, they're born with an iPhone in their brain. They don't even need an iPhone, right? Because they've got it inside their brains. So it's that time where we tune our bodies up as yogis. We feel our body as a frequency machine. We can elevate ourselves through sound, through mantra, through the supporting of all indigenous traditions, that we help people remember that medicine within comes from chanting and singing. So banging the drum, chanting the music, all of it is incredibly healing for this human body. All right. So I just wanted to share that message with you tonight before we practice, so that we can dedicate the sound across the miles and be with each other and support finding that internal medicine within. Because ultimately, that is the answer to this big public health crisis that we've been through. That each of us feels that medicine within our bodies, that we empower ourselves. Of course, there's always going to be time when you need to go to the doctor, but that the medicine from within, through that portal of your mouth and the transformation that happens through chanting, has a chance to spread and be with everybody. And it's contagious. When you develop your default mode network, other people's grow as well. So I'd like to take a moment to answer any questions or listen to you if you had a share or something that came to you before we start our yoga practice. Do you have any ideas or visions that came to you from what I shared that you'd like to share with the whole group? You can just unmute yourself or you can type it into the chat.
Don't be scared to talk to Japa.
I'm here to answer those lingering questions about sound, mantra, your body. Yeah.
I just want to keep hearing you talk about it.
Well, I have more, but I wasn't sure how much you guys wanted to talk or do yoga. So
I'm saying that as a big I love you, and that's amazing. You're like blowing my mind.
I love you too. There's one more anatomy structure. I'm like, can they handle it? Because some of you guys are yawning and looking sleepy. Do you want to do one more structure? Are you up for it?
Yes, we're up for it.
Okay, let's do it because it's cool. And you may have heard about this structure. There's a Center for Compassion in Berkeley, California, that has been studying the vagus nerve for the last like 15 years and watching how our health is influenced through the power of the vagus nerve. So I'll show you a picture of it and we'll come back to these slides. Okay, the vagus nerve is the largest nerve in your body. And it's called vagus because it wanders through your whole body and plugs into all the organs. It innervates with every single organ. And what it does is turn on your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. And para, easy to remember, is like paradise, rest and relax, feed and breed. It's the part of your nervous system that when it turns on, you feel heavenly or relaxed. Okay. And a lot of yoga traditions turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, and they primarily do it through the vagus nerve. And one of the things we do when we meditate is we tuck our chin down like this, right? We bring that chin, we put ourselves in neck lock, and when we do that, the vagus nerve stretches and activates. And we're doing what's called toning the vagus nerve. We're turning on that parasympathetic response. And you can feel it right now. I'd like everybody stick your chin out like this. And all of a sudden you're like, you want to fight the Godfather, right? And then tuck it and watch what happens. You start to go into a humble kind of an attitude, like I'm part of everything, I'm connected. And what they've discovered in different studies is that forget survival of the fittest, it's kindness that counts. That when you activate or turn on your vagal nerve, you are activating the ability to feel connected and one with everything. You're able to drop some of your ego centered survival activity and move into being connected with others and feeling that kindness is more important than getting something from someone else. So they looked at children who were in that ego development time in their lives when they were, fighting and grabbing 2 year olds, taking things from each other, punching each other, how kids don't hold back from letting it out. And they would take those kids, put them into two groups. And one group, they would turn on their vagus nerves by singing to them, dancing with them, making eye contact, and speaking to the children to turn on their vagus nerve. And those kids' behavior was way better than the kids that were sort of, not looked at, not sung to. Obviously, the kids that were turning on their vagus nerve were much happier and much more content and connected. So, in Kundalini Yoga and all of the yoga traditions, there are all kinds of activities we do that consciously turn on the vagus nerve. So, you know how we tell you to gag your tongue in the morning? That pulls the vagus nerve and gives it a little push up to start your day. Whistling, those kooky Kundalini exercises where you stick your tongue out and you do funny things with your tongue? Those are all, yes, those are all turning on the vagus nerve. Neck lock and meditation. All of our funny Venus Kriyas where we look into the eyes of the other person and we say funny things or do patty cake kind of stuff. That stuff actually is vagus nerve activity. So I still stand with white tantric yoga. It actually is an all day long vagus nerve static yoga posture. I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to do it, but it's kind of a hard, long day of meditation, and you have a partner and you're looking into their eyes. And it's basically a way of bringing in that early bonding with your mother when you would stare into her eyes. And hopefully that happened for all of us here, that we had a mom that loved us on some level. All moms love in different ways, right? But you start to peel back the layers of that and start to come back to your original self, that you're loved through the connections with the universe, through the connections with each other. So that's just touching on the vagus nerve. I'm sure you've heard this. It's become very popular in the last few years, but I just wanted to remind us of that and consider in Kundalini Yoga, the Kriyas, the rhythm, they create what's called adaptive competence in your body and mind. And what is that? That's where, like, say you're watching TV and you're right in the middle of a great show, and somebody comes in and just turns off the TV, and you're like, hey, what's going on? Or you freak out and get really mad at the person, right? It could go either way. Adaptive competence is when you can adjust to different sensory input and roll with it. So that's what a Kriya or a meditation is actually doing. It's toning all these different parts of your body to develop that resonance within yourself, basically to not freak out. And we do it through sound and silence, because every moment is a pulse and then there's a silence right before the next heartbeat, right? Every moment is anahat. Every moment is the unstruck sound, the moment right before there is sound, and then there's sound. So we constantly repeat that universal energy through our yoga practice and through our lives. But life can get really loud and messy at times, right? Relationships can get messy. All your work, all your stuff that you do. When you do a yoga kriya, you just sweep off that desk of all the clutter and you just center into your original rhythm again. So I just share this last slide with you, thinking about the real purpose of all of it is to be able to have those healthy boundaries, hold that compassion with other people. Our favorite researcher of the day, Brene Brown, just said she discovered compassion actually comes from your ability to communicate your needs, right? So may our practice bring us to that place, right, where we can see clearly what is my yes in my heart, what is my no, and when do I need to express the yes or the no, the silence or the sound. So let's dedicate our practice to that tonight, that in our relationships, we can be steady, we can be filled with compassion through our ability to be clear about what we need and communicate it in a loving way. All right? How does that sound? Woo! We're going to do an awesome yoga kriya tonight. Do we just go until 7:30? I can squeeze it in.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Any questions or comments before we tune in and do some yoga?
I do. Good evening, Dr. Japa. Very happy to be gathered here with you in your lecture and teachings, and also with my fellow students. I have a quick question about the vagus nerve and the awareness of anatomy. If it begins in the region of the upper body and the head, does it not run all along to the bottom to the feet? Is that
It actually goes into all of your organs in your torso.
okay?
Okay, so it plugs into each one, lungs, heart, small intestine, butt, everything. But it doesn't go into your toes. That's where, like, the sciatic nerve picks it up and takes off. Like the sacrum branches out into your legs. Does that help?
Yes, it does. It helps with the visualization. That's fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, and so that vagus nerve is really like your feeling space because it's in all your organs. And the other nerves, like your sciatic nerve, are like your muscle system, your movement process. Okay? All right, time for maybe two more questions.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm Terry.
This is your last chance.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a question about the best way to heal that vagus nerve for people who may have damage to that area, physical damage from an injury. Would chanting be a good way to heal the physical nerve?
Sure. So it's very individual. It really depends on the person, right? Each person has their unique starting point with something. Um, but if they've had damage, like physical damage, I mean, they need to like get the physical adjustments worked out. They may not have the energy to chant until they get that physical taken care of. And then there's also the sensory processing component. So a parasympathetic support involves also strengthening sympathetic. So that what that means is when you do yoga, you apply pressure in order to build a grit. Like you're doing this for, 4 minutes. It's not easy. You're holding your arms in one position. You're actually stressing your sympathetic nervous system. And then you rest and have a pause. And that gives you the space that you need to build the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's not all about resting and relaxing, it's about alternating between those two systems. Does that help? And then that is what really tones someone. That's why we feel good with Kundalini Yoga.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Another thought or comment? I'd love to hear your voices and what this awakened for you.
Hi,
I
Japa.
have,
Oh, you go. You go.
no, please, you. I already had one.
Hi, Japa. This is Susie. How did you get interested in Chinese medicine?
I was living in Chicago, and my dad is a doctor, and I was starting to meditate and do yoga, and I just was sort of lost. I was like a lost young person, and I just kind of got these messages. Like I was like, I need to start helping people. I need to do something more meaningful with my life. I really, really wanted to help people. And so I found this Oriental Medical School there. I went to the Chicago School for Oriental Medicine. I'm not sure if it's still in there anymore, but I went there many years ago. Just got the message. My mom was a quilter and my dad was a surgeon, so it was like kind of meant to be that I would work with needles.
I have one question. Do
Sure.
you do Qigong too?
I believe in it so deeply, and I see so many interconnections between Kundalini Yoga and Qigong. Like we use different words to describe the body, but the systems are all there. Like we have the jiaos, which are the three burners, and they have Dantian and
Yeah.
another way, the same way, but different cultural background. Do you practice that?
I actually went to a couple classes. It's very interesting.
It is very interesting. It's very good. Thank you for asking and keep going with your Qigong practice. It's very good for you. Yes.
Doctor, I had a question about when you said somebody pulls the plug out of the blue and then you lose your grasp and you freak out. I've had a lot of freakouts in my life. I'll admit it. What do you do if you can't always control them after you freak out? You realize right away what, I mean, besides apologizing to everybody, but obviously for your own health, what do you do?
Well, I feel you. I'm a total hothead. I do the same thing and I try to save it for special moments when it's really necessary to make change happen, but it does happen. And um, I believe in a lot of body work as much as you can afford, like get massaged, do a trade with somebody, give them something that you like and get your body work so you can receive, especially after a blow up or after a trigger or a trauma response. Also, meditation every day, just a little bit, puts a dent in that, right? And it doesn't have to be meditation. It can be, again, playing a musical instrument also develops the default mode network, right? Jaden Black Elk, I hope you're learning to ride horses, right? Or some kind, oh, you've got your photography, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're practicing being an artist with photography, and practicing and developing a skill over many years also turns on the default mode network. There we go, beautiful camera. So whatever your skill is, keep fine tuning it because that gives you a locus of self-regulation. I also use rescue remedy all the time. I mean, you can get it anywhere at Whole Foods or you could buy it on the internet. It's just a homeopathic remedy that clears shock. Have you guys ever heard of it?
Oh,
You put a dropper full into your glass of water and it balances your 10 bodies and helps you integrate the experience of the trigger.
oh, cool. And we can find your book on Amazon?
My book is on Amazon or it's on The Source on KRI, Kundalini Research Institute.
Awesome book.
Thank you.
Do you have audiobook? I like your voice, so soothing.
Oh, thank you. I'm always like, I miss my chance to be a radio personality, but luckily I have friends that are radio personalities that invite me to speak at their events. And I'll put it is on Amazon, although I don't like to advertise that because Amazon is, taking over the world. All right, other questions? And then we'll do some yoga.
I just want to say for everybody, in case you weren't hip, that Japa dropped that information in the chat as far as the rescue remedy and where to get the book.
Siri, is that at Satnam?
We don't have that at Satnam, but I'll order some from Japa when we get off.
I know you have
It's been COVID, so the boutique's been closed. So.
Oh, okay. Well, y'all have you get me that Enlightened Bodies. I've seen it. And I did not make the connection that was you that was the author on that.
Yeah.
Because I met you at the ashram. That was Thanksgiving year before last.
You were visiting us, I remember, and you've kept me up to date on your musical journey and everything.
Yeah, I was there 5 days straight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, let's move, y'all. Are you ready? Should we tune in?
Let's do it.
All right. And bringing those hands together at the heart center, feeling into the depth of that power in those hands. You are that remedy for yourself and others through unique energy together, and exhaling completely out and tuning in with the Adi mantra Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Inhale to begin. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. All right, and when you're ready, let those eyelids flicker open. And I am starting us off with a beautiful Kriya to relax the body. And it actually starts with some dancing. So let me get some tunes going. You can stand up, shake it out. If you don't want people to see you, turn off your video or be brave and dance it out with us together. Here we go. Move in a way that feels good for your body. Oops, wrong song.
Come on, Chili. Can't get up, bro. Let's go, Deborah. All right, since we
in and feeling your body as that magic frequency machine. Bring those two hands together, feel that energy, and now bless that body. Just take those two hands and give yourself that energy back. Thanking your body, giving it that long overdue thank you note. And every square inch, bless yourself. Don't leave any stone unturned. We are just constantly making our bodies work for us, really like a horse or an animal, right? But it has so much subtlety to it. It needs you to acknowledge all of the layers of what you are. So just take a moment, bless yourself, and feel that healing energy in your hands. Everybody has it, and we forget how powerful it is. So let that touch come back to you. No stone unturned. Bottoms of feet, hands, neck, backside, get the kidneys, get the abdomen, everything. If you run out of places to touch, go back and repeat. But thank you, all the ways you serve me. Feeling that deep inner healing reserves inside of yourself. And don't forget your eyes and your brain. Remember that deep in your brain is that cave of inner knowledge where inspiration comes from. What you're meant to do on this earth, all the special gifts you have to contribute. It's lying deep inside your brain in that third ventricle. Last little bit. Feeling the energy, sending yourself blessings. All right, and bringing the hands together over the heart center for a moment, standing in stillness with the eyes closed, settling into that anahat, that sound between every sound, the depth of your life, your experience, unique to you. All right, and now stretching up. Stretch up for a moment. Miracle bend up to the sky and let those hands fall back behind you, but keep your heart lifted up to the sky. And breathe deeply in this posture. You can place your hands on your back if you need to for support. All right, so you're stretching yourself up to the sky, heart to the heavens, and breathing long and deep. And this awakens the Shushmana, aka the conception vessel, the center line of your body. So this is miracle bend. We release our negativity through this. Do it every day for 6 weeks and see what happens to the problems in your life, and send me an email so I know if it worked or not. I just want you to try it every day for a few minutes. Miracle bend, breathing into the creation of you. Last little bit. And inhale and let yourself come up to the center. Exhale, relax the breath, and just pause for a moment. All right, and next posture, let yourself fall forward. Adjust my camera. Fall forward so that you're bending over. You can soften your knees as you go towards the floor if you need to relax your back. But let your head and your hands dangle towards the floor. And in this position, bending over, forward bend, just breathing deeply. Last little bit, breathing, stay focused on the yoga, doing great. Head rolling towards the earth, knees are soft. All right, and slowly bringing yourself up. Okay, and lie down for a moment, just briefly before we meditate. Just a little bit of yoga tonight, but let yourself really relax, feeling into the softness of who you are, closing your eyes, going deep, getting ready to meditate by resting first. Give yourself a moment of quiet time to let that brain cool off. And starting to bring yourself back, breathing deeply and wiggling your fingers and toes, feeling the subtle energy of the meridians moving through your body. Just a short create at night. It brings in our healing powers. Rotate the wrists and the ankles in circles, rubbing the hands together, the soles of the feet together, stimulating those nerve endings, and stretching and moving in a way that feels good for your body. And when you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and roll yourself up. Awesome. And we'll do a celestial communication tonight with an Ashtang mantra, an 8-beat mantra. I'll type the mantra into the chat for those of you that are here for the first time on your Kundalini journey. And this is an empowerment mantra. Oh dear, someone else will have to chat it in for me. It's Gobinde Mukande.
Oh, I'll put it in. We just did that yesterday, so a lot they'll be familiar with it.
Okay, cool. But type it in there.
Yep.
And we'll chant it together and do some movements, okay? And they're healing movements for the body, and they flow us through the whole endocrine system. So first we celebrate to the world the masculine energy, giving out to the world, then the feminine polarity that circles and contains everything. Then the way that our spleen, adrenal, and pancreas gives out to the world, we give it to the world, then we give it back to ourselves through our adrenals. Then we go up to the heart center and the thymus gland, up into the heavens, and have a little exciting moment here in Kundalini land, because we celebrate the pituitary, the hypothalamus, and the pineal gland up here in our brain. Give it a little bow and keep going and repeat. And I'll just keep doing it with you, and you'll know it very soon. And we'll look at each other. If you can, come off your camera or turn your camera on so we can see each other. And please chant out loud. Here's our music.
Gobinde, Mukande, Udare, Apare, Hariyam, Kariyam, Niriname, Akrame, Hara 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 Gobinde, Hara 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 Mukande, Hara 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 Udare, Hara 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 Apare, Hara 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 Hariyam, Hara 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 Kariyam, Hara 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 Niriname, Hara 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 Kame. Gobinde, Mukande, Udare, Apare, Hariyam, Kariyam, Niriname Akame Hara 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 Gopinde Hara 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 Mukande Hara 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 Udare Hara 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 Apare Hara 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 Hariyam Hara 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 Kariyam Hara 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 Niriname Hara 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 Kame Gopinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Niriname Akame Hara 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 Gopinde Hara 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 Mukande Hara 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 Udare Hara 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 Apare Hara 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 Hariyam Hara 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 Kariyam Hara 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 Niriname Hara 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 Kame Gopinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Niriname Akame Hara 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 Gopinde Hara 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 Mukande Hara 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 Udare Hara 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 Apare Hara 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 Hariyam Hara 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 Kariyam Hara Hara Hara
One more
Hara
time.
Niriname Hara 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 Kame
And deep breath in, hands over your heart center, feeling the blessings of the global community, feeling that love in your heart for mantra, for sound current, and for that healing energy that lies within you, is unique to you, will never be ever existing in time and space like it is right now. It's different in every moment, feeling into that precious inner healing capacity. And we'll close it out with the Longtime Sunshine song. I like to end every class with a sunshine song. I think it's really sweet. And we say in Kundalini Yoga therapy, where Kundalini Yoga helps people recover their health, we say the light that is you, right? That it is your light. So you can do that version with me or the original. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light that is you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light that is you guide your way on. And if you can, unmute yourself so we can hear you as you chant Satnam. Sa. Peace to all, light to all, love to all. Satnam.
Satnam.
Boy,
Um,
what a
Waheguru.
why guru, what a breath of fresh
Waheguru.
air.
It was so great to be with you all. You can get my recipe download if you'd like to. It's on my website, Dr.Japa, and I have a whole booklet of beautiful recipes for your health. And
Yeah.
Instagram, and we can stay connected that way.
Okay, yes.
Cecilia, do you have Japa's book? Is that I saw? Oh, good. You got it already. That's great.
So fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Japa, thank you so much. What a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Siriati. Your community is so lovely, and it was great to be with everybody.